Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're getting into something really fascinating, looking at pop culture's most iconic women of darkness.
That's right. We're talking Morticia, Vampira, and Elvira.
Exactly. It's kind of, unholy trinity,
Mhm.
femme fatales who've really captured our imaginations for generations now.
And what we really want to do in this deep dive is sort of unearth the surprising connections between them. There's a shared lineage there.
Yeah.
You'll see how their stories are linked, maybe like the chains they'd use on their victims. But seriously, by digging into their origins, their impacts, you get this great shortcut to understanding a whole slice of pop culture.
And these powerful female archetypes, too.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Where does it all start? We have to go back, right, to Charles Adams.
We do. 1938. The New Yorker. Adams starts drawing this really unique family, twisted misfits.
Right. And the mother figure, the matriarch, she didn't even have a name at first.
No name initially, just this tall, elegant woman, black dress, jet black hair, those mysterious eyes. She just had this vibe.
Yeah.
Dark, malevolent lifestyle, but totally nonchalant about it.
Like asking to borrow a cup of cyanide.
Exactly, that kind of thing. She really set a tone.
Okay, so that's the seed.
Yeah.
How does that connect to Vampira? Because she comes next chronologically, right?
Right. It's fascinating how that cartoon image sparks something real. Fast forward to the 1950s. We meet Mila Nurmi.
Mila Nurmi, Finnish American actress from Oregon, I believe.
Astoria, Oregon, yeah. She'd been a model, a showgirl, cheesecake stuff. Natural blonde, actually.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. And the story goes, she attends this Halloween masquerade in 1953.
Dressed as.
Inspired by that unnamed Adams matriarch. And a TV producer, Hunt Stroberg Jr., spots her.
Ah, serendipity.
Totally. He was looking for someone exactly like that, an eccentric host for a late-night horror show. Mela gets the job, and, well, Vampira is born.
And this is where Nurmi really takes ownership, isn't it? Because the Vampira show starts in 54.
Yes. And she didn't just copy the cartoon, she developed it. She amped up the sex appeal big time.
She had that famous quote, didn't she, about sex and death?
Sex and death, she said, a killer combination. And she added those iconic visual touches.
Like the corset.
Oh, yeah. The impossibly tight corset, the stiletto heels, the long red fingernails. She pulled influences from all over the Dragon Lady and Terry and the Pirates, even Disney's Evil Queen from Snow White.
Wow, quite a mix.
It really was. And her on-screen persona was just captivating, completely new for TV.
Describe it for us. How does she appear?
Okay, picture this. Each show starts with her doing this sort of trance-like glide down a dark, misty hallway.
Okay.
Then this blood-curdling scream. And she'd introduce the movie, mock it, all while lounging on a couch of skulls.
Oh, Couch of Skulls. Classic.
Totally. And her comedy was just ghoulish, making martinis but using eyeballs instead of olives.
Oh, my goodness.
Offering epitaphs instead of autographs. And she'd sign off every show wishing everyone best had dreams, darlings.
Just iconic phrasing. And she got famous pretty quickly, didn't she? Even if it was short-lived.
Meteoric rise, yeah. She was on the Red Skelton show, Ed Sullivan, riding around L.A. in a chauffeur-driven 1932 Packard.
That style.
Definitely. And she even ran for Night Mayor of Hollywood.
Seriously. On what platform?
Dead issues.
Of course. She really leaned into the whole persona, didn't she? Publicly embracing that nonconformity.
Absolutely. But then, scandal hit. The show got canceled in 1955 after only 1 year.
What happened there?
Well, she was close friends with James Dean, and when he died tragically in that car crash,
Oh.
yeah, a magazine basically accused her of causing his death using black magic.
Well, that's rough.
Really rough. That, plus some FCC warnings about her, grotesque humor, KABC pulled the plug.
But she kept the rights to the character. Smart move.
Very smart. She didn't disappear. She did a brief stint on another station, and famously, she was in Ed Wood's Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Ah, the cult classic.
The ultimate cult classic. And later, Lisa Marie played her in Tim Burton's Ed Wood biopic.
Right. And there's another fascinating connection, isn't there? Something with Disney.
Yes, this is kind of lesser known, but so cool. In 1959, Mila Nurmi, as Vampira, was the live-action reference model for Maleficent in Disney's Sleeping Beauty.
No way. Really?
Yeah, and if you look at Maleficent, you can totally see it, can't you?
Oh, absolutely. The eyebrows, the voice quality, that sort of casual evilness.
Mm-hmm.
It's pure Vampira.
Exactly. Shows her influence went beyond just the horror host thing.
So Vampira really set the mold then. The archetype for the horror host celebrity.
Without a doubt. She was the pioneer. So many followed, drawing from what she did. Which leads us to the next big question. How did that influence ripple outwards?
And that brings us neatly to Morticia Addams.
10 years after Vampira first hit the airwaves.
Right. 1964, ABC decides to make a series out of those Charles Addams cartoons, The Addams Family.
And this time, Charles Addams himself names the characters. Morticia, from Mortis, Latin for death. Perfect.
Perfect name. And they cast Carolyn Jones.
Carolyn Jones. An amazing actress, really. From Amarillo, Texas, she'd paid her dues in Hollywood, lots of supporting roles, often stealing the show.
Like House of Wax.
Yeah.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Exactly. Big movies. But she wanted to be a leading lady. She even changed her look, went raven-haired for a role in Bachelor Party in '57, and got an Oscar nomination for it.
Wow. So she had the chops.
Serious chops. And this Morticia role, it just seemed, well, made for her.
Finally gets to be that leading lady, but in this really kooky, zany way.
Yeah.
Smart, wicked sense of humor.
And she and the writers added so much depth beyond the original cartoon panels. Now, about the Vampira influence.
Yeah, is there proof?
There is very little direct evidence saying Vampira inspired this Morticia, but given the timing, the look, that dark, elegant, powerful woman aesthetic.
It's hard to believe she wasn't somewhere in the background, right?
It really is. Seems likely, somehow. And this Morticia, like Vampira, she just dripped sex appeal.
Which was pretty bold for 1960s primetime TV.
Oh, absolutely. Her relationship with Gomez, played by John Astin.
So passionate. All the French, the kissing up the arm.
They were arguably the first TV couple that made you believe, yeah, they definitely have a sex life. A really fun one.
And beyond the allure, she was into art, gardening, cutting the heads off roses.
Yep, the occult. And she was a really loving mother, even if her methods were unconventional.
Feeding spiders to the kids, that sort of thing.
Exactly. She represented this really unique kind of feminine strength, owning her desires, her weirdness with total grace.
The show itself, The Addams Family, it was popular, right?
Yeah.
But didn't last long initially.
2 years, yeah. Popular, but couldn't compete when color TV really took over. Batman was in color, right across from them.
Ah, tough competition. So it ended in 66.
Yep. But it lived on big time in syndication. And cartoons, other versions. Carolyn Jones even came back for a TV movie in '77, Halloween, with the new Addams Family.
Character just endures.
Mm-hmm.
Which brings us to the 90s movie version.
Right. Fast forward to 1991, the Addams Family movie, and Morticia is played by...
Angelica Houston. Hollywood royalty. Daughter of John Huston.
Exactly. Raised in Ireland and England, had a modeling career, famously dated Jack Nicholson for years.
And already an Oscar winner for Prince's Honor.
And she'd done that amazing turn as the Grand High Witch in The Witches, fantastically evil.
So she was perfect casting. She brought a different vibe, though, didn't she?
Very different, more gravitas, maybe. That otherworldly elegance. Apparently she watched Grey Gardens for inspiration.
The documentary? Wow, interesting choice.
Isn't it? And her Morticia had those amazing seductive eyes, the poise, the deadpan delivery of those hilariously dark lines.
And the chemistry with Raul Julia as a Gomez was incredible. Lots of choreography in their scenes.
Absolutely. And her Morticia was portrayed as this, LeMay's master, an inspirational, albeit gothic mother. Still that feminine strength, but maybe a bit more composed. Still utterly captivating.
Okay, so we've had Vampira, the original horror host, Morticia, the gothic matriarch in two iconic forms. Where does Elvira fit in?
Well, by 1981, the world, or at least Los Angeles, needed a new horror host. Sinister Seymour, the local guy, was retiring.
And they tried to bring back Vampira first.
They did. They approached Malin Nurmi. She was involved briefly, but apparently there are artistic differences. She left the project.
So the opportunity was there.
Exactly. They needed new blood for that itty-bitty black dress.
Enter Cassandra Peterson.
Cassandra Peterson. The director got a tip, went to see her at the Groundlings Improv Theater in L.A.
Famous place.
Yeah. And her character, this kind of dippy valley girl, just killed. The director thought, okay, put a raven black wig on her. And Elvira was basically born right there.
And Cassandra Peterson, she had an interesting background too, right? Not just improv.
Oh, yeah. From Manhattan, Kansas originally. Was a showgirl in Vegas, even briefly dated Elvis.
Get out, really?
Yeah. Small role in a Bond film, Diamonds Are Forever. She had this unique mix of comedy and, presence.
So how did she build on the Vampira legacy?
She basically took the Vampira template and cranked it up to 11, maybe 12.
How so?
It was the 80s. So over-the-top sexiness, the gigantic ratings, as she called them, and the big 80s hair. Plus this attitude, like California Valley girl meets punk rocker. Sarcastic, witty.
Perfect for the MTV generation, you said.
Absolutely perfect. That dark look, but with this really sharp, modern, sarcastic humor. And what's really interesting about Elvira
Yeah.
is how she's seen as this kind of feminist hero. She's totally blatant about her body, her desires, but she is not letting anyone take advantage of her.
She's in control.
Completely. Owns her power, owns her nonconformity. A really formidable figure in her own way.
And like Vampira, she hosted movies.
Yep. Elvira's Movie Macabre. Or Movie Mac, as she called it. But here's the difference. Most horror hosts were local. Elvira, she just took
The
off
show got syndicated.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Across the U.S., Canada, ran for 7 years, spawned movies. She had this amazing reach.
And her commentary was key, right? Making fun of the bad movies.
Oh, her quick wit, her sharp tongue, making fun of those B-movies, that was the magic. And like Vampira, she had her own sign-off.
Unpleasant Dreams.
You got it.
She became huge in the 80s, didn't she? A
Yeah.
real cultural phenomenon.
Massive. The glamour ghoul of the 80s. There were comic books, action figures, Halloween costumes galore, beer commercials.
Coors, wasn't it?
That's the one. Tons of TV appearances. The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. She even got spoofed on The Simpsons as Boo Barella.
Right. And then came the movie, 1988.
Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. The peak of her fame, really. The plot is classic Elvira. She goes to this stuffy small town to get an inheritance from her witch aunt.
And proceeds to shake everything up.
Completely. The locals try to burn her at the stake, naturally. Reviews were mixed, got some Razzie nods, but who cares? It's a total cult classic now.
Absolutely. And she hasn't really gone away, has she?
Not at all. Still reigning. There was a sequel in 2001, Elvira's Haunted Hills, a reality show. The Search for the Next Elvira in 2007, revamped Movie Macabre in 2010, 13 Nights of Elvira in 2014. Her legacy, like her hair, just keeps going.
Amazing staying power.
Yeah.
So bringing it all together then, we've looked at Vampira, Morticia, Elvira. What's the thread that ties these three, devilishly hilarious, sinfully sexy characters together?
Well, beyond the obvious dark aesthetic, I think they're all, in their own way, heroes of nonconformity. They represent feminine strength, but outside the usual mold.
Right. Each one challenged the norms of her time.
Exactly. They showed power in being different, in embracing your unique self, even the darker parts.
Yeah, that feels like the key takeaway. They showed generation after generation that it's okay, more than okay, actually, to be different, to indulge your darker side, to be authentically you, even if you're a bit, well, spooky.
It's about cultural permission, isn't it? Seeing yourself reflected, even in these wonderfully dark figures, their impact is way bigger than just entertainment.
Absolutely.
Which kind of leaves us with a final thought, something for you, the listener, to chew on.
Okay.
Which of these icons resonates most with you? Does Morticia make your heart race? Does Vampira make your blood boil? Or does Elvira just make you die laughing? Maybe you adore all three of these dastardly divas.
A tough choice.
It is. And it makes you wonder, how will future generations continue to reinterpret these powerful archetypes, these symbols of feminine darkness and strength? What comes next?
A fantastic question to end on. That wraps up our deep dive into the tangled, fascinating stories of Morticia, Vampira, and Elvira. We really hope you enjoyed uncovering their shared legacy with us today.